Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, then run it back. Run it up, run it back. Run it up, then run it back.
Happy Friday. It is Friday, you guys. Fridays have become very important to me in my old age. I feel like I appreciate them more. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I've always loved a good Friday.
I don't know what that means. Lou Will, Chandler P, Michelle B, and we have a lot of basketball. We also have Breland and Urban Meyer on the show.
Yes, we do.
I'm scared and also excited. Let's get to some of the basketball that was played last night. As you may or may not know, everything matters right now. Knicks, Pistons. Okay, potential playoff preview.
Oh,
I see you,
Lord.
Detroit. Pistons win the season series 3-1. Yeah, it's French. No OG, no Mitch Robinson, no Josh Hart. We knew that, but Cade had 36. Brunson finished with 15 and 5. Cat with 25 points, 10 and 5. The gentleman's sweep is what we call that in the business. Cade Cunningham in the series averaged over 30 points a game, which, you know, we've already sort of started thinking about the idea that this is going to be a potential matchup, and I think we feel very favorably in Detroit's favor. But for Cade Cunningham specifically, what does this mean?
It's just crazy because a 6 seed should not be a favorite in this series.
No.
And I don't think they're going to be a favorite, but there's no doubt about it. Detroit wants New York, and New York does not want Detroit. I think that's known. I think that's clear. They'd rather see Milwaukee in that first round. But this is just a style clash here. Cade Cunningham, you can't speed him up. And you would think a guy like OG or a guy like Mikal Bridges, with their length, with their versatility, they'd be able to slow him down or speed him up. And he's just so calm. He's so good. Detroit is so much better defensively. They can switch everything. They've added these vet guys that come in, they know their role, they knock down shots. Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., they kind of all just know their role. They space the floor nice, and they just give Cade Cunningham room to operate in the pick and roll, and he just picks every defense apart. It's unbelievable.
I agree with Chandler 1,000%. Like, this is a matchup nightmare for New York.
Yep.
You know, even though they're probably going to be the favorite seeding-wise, if you match these teams up, like Detroit just looks like a tougher basketball team, and they have all of the pieces to match up with the pieces that New York has, and it's going their way this season. So they're going to be a tough out. Like, if I'm New York right now, I'm bracing myself for a very competitive first-round matchup if this goes through right now with the way that Detroit is playing.
What's crazy, too, is obviously we know how good Cade Cunningham is, but look at their bigs and the physicality. Jalen Duren, he's 21 years old. When I watch him play, this is a grown-ass man. I'm like, this dude's 21. Isaiah Stewart. So between those two big dudes, they provide physicality that Karl Anthony Towns doesn't love. They're a deeper team than New York. They're a better defensive team than New York. And, again, there is zero answers for Cade Cunningham.
How did we get here? So, yeah, we're talking about the fact that Detroit, a lot of people, I think, would look to and say they got a really good shot at winning this. Let's move to the Knicks for a second, because we had Stephen Bondi on yesterday. We sort of talked about, you know, if they were to be upset. But we were putting it as if they got upset or lost to the Celtics. Like, let's just say it's even worse than that. They get upset in the first round. Lou, what kind of conversations do you expect to happen in New York if that happens?
Well, every year you're going to have to just assess the season, you know, the pros and cons, the good and bads, and all of those things you have to correct whatever doesn't go your way, right? If you're the New York Knicks. And with the expectation that coming into this season, like, they built this team to compete for a championship. And if you get bounced in the first round from a team this has been their first time in the playoffs for God knows how long, like, you're going to have to assess everybody from top to bottom, from front office, from the coaching staff to the players, in order for you to get this thing back to where you want it. And so it's a lot of basketball still to be played for New York. Obviously, they have a couple of stats that goes against everything that you feel like is important to New York. You know, they can't beat Boston. They can't beat Cleveland. They're 1-3 against Detroit. They got a lot of different matchup issues that they're going to see in these playoffs. But, you know, the ball hasn't went up yet. We'll see how that works. But if they possibly lose in the first round, you got to take a look at everybody and everything.
Yeah, it would be a big problem. And here's the thing. Here's the reason why. They put this team together, the starting five. They go and get a Bridges. They go and get a Karl Anthony Towns.
They gave up a lot.
To compete, to give up a lot, to compete against the Boston Celtics, basically. Then the Cavs have this great season. They have this great run. And now they're looking at a matchup against the Detroit Pistons, who won 14 games last year.
Dear Lord.
And then now they're the sleeper pick, and the teams are picking them against them in this series. So I think there would be some changes. There would be some serious, soul searching and looking in the mirror here, because this team was built this summer to win a championship. They gave up a lot to bring in this best starting five in the NBA. A lot of people said, and I kind of agreed. On paper, this team is really, really good.
Sure.
They never had the depth, but again, that's not usually an issue with Tom Thibodeau teams. But man, we talk about smoking a series to a team that won 14 games last year. That is a big, big problem.
It is the feel-good story of the year, and technically. But here, okay, you got to give me 2 names, because we already sort of went over it yesterday as well. They don't have a ton of flexibility. They gave up a lot to get Bridges over there. So you give me 2 names that you could see being on the move in New York. Any 2 names.
I mean, that's what my man yesterday said. The Giannis, that it's a pipe dream. They don't have the assets to get off. Mikal Bridges is due for an extension this year, so he's a package you could put around him and maybe kind of get something back. But off the top of my head, I wouldn't even know names, because just to go and sign someone and get someone, they don't have the assets, they don't have the money. They're kind of stuck unless they want to move some of these pieces that they just brought last summer.
That's the other thing, though. Are we being fair? Like, have they had enough time? I know we're impatient, but
nothing's happened, by the way.
We feel it.
Yeah, we're talking as if they
feel
lost
it.
4-1 to Detroit.
Yeah, nothing's happened, by the way. Like, we do have to give them a break. Granted, like, there's a lot of things that hadn't gone their way in the regular season.
Yep.
But anything happens in the regular season, and a lot of times you tend to hedge your bets with the team that's been better all season long, and that's still been the New York Knicks. Now, this wasn't a great outing for them against Detroit. They haven't had a great run against Detroit this season, but still, they are the favorite to win this series. They are the better basketball team. So let's see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, again, they could sweep Detroit, and we could be talking about a whole different situation here, and they go up and they give the Celtics a run for their money in the second round, which, again, I think that's kind of crazy, too, that I think everyone assumed the Celtics were going to win the East, right? So now they're going to possibly face the Celtics in the second round and not the Eastern Conference Finals is just another issue for them that they're going to have to go through.
Maybe this was all a ploy, like just lose a bunch of games to the good ones and then trick us.
I don't think that was the plan.
It was a strategy.
I don't think
Keep
so.
us wondering. Cade Cunningham, we've discussed the fact that he's averaging 30 against the Knicks. The regular season, he's been amazing. He's going to make All-NBA. If we get this series, and we've seen it over the course of the years in the NBA, superstars tend to become superstars in the Garden, Lou. Like, that is kind of where people have their coming out party. Could you see that for Cade?
I can, and he's primed for it. Out of all these young stars that we have, like, I feel like nobody is in a better prime position for it to be Cade Cunningham. You know, some of these guys have already had somewhat of a playoff experience, and he hasn't. You know, I'm sure this is going to be a stage that he's excited about. You have a lot of eyes on you that usually don't watch because of playoff basketball. It's going to be a great opportunity for him to raise his profile even more than it is already. And if you look at the way that he plays, like, he's always poised. He's never out of body, never doing anything outside of the realm of the things that he can do. He's a big physical basketball player, big guard, has everything in his bag. He can put his back to the basket. He has the mid-range. He has the three. When you have all of those tools going into a playoff run, you got to be excited and you got to be confident to know that this is the right guy for the job. So this is a great chance for him to have a coming-out party. What better way to do it in Madison Square Garden? Yeah,
and he's already a superstar. He's been doing this all year. It's kind of like the Walter Clayton kid from Florida. Not many people knew about him. Then all of a sudden, everyone's watching him prime time, and you're not just watching a Detroit Pistons game on a Tuesday. Now you're going to get the chance. You're going to get it on the biggest stage. And
that was like a shameless Florida plug.
Did you see how he did that?
I mean, dude went from a second-round pick to a lottery pick in just like a week. Like, it's just like that's. I'm telling you, that is kind of stardom that he can get into. And again, Cade Cunningham's already a stud. He's already a star. He's going to make All-NBA. I just don't know what team. It's probably going to be second. I can argue it could be first.
It's all right.
But the kid has had an unbelievable year. He's going to win Most Improved Player, which also, all this stuff about the Most Improved, I don't like that either. Oh, stop giving it to the number 1 or 2 pick. It's like, why? If they made the biggest jump and the biggest leap, and look what this dude is doing on that team with no other All-NBA player or no other All-Star on his team.
So you don't like
that's
the argument that they
It's the most improved team. It's the most improved player. Like, think about it. He is the most improved everything. That
but franchise. He came in with a set of skills that should have already been above.
He came in with an expectation.
Yeah, but from year, that's not the award. It's not from your career as a high schooler.
I don't know. Let's talk about it.
I don't think that's an improvement.
It's from last year to this year.
That's just him.
Player.
Yeah.
It's from last year to this year, though. It has nothing to do with his.
He still was this guy last year. The team wasn't.
No, exactly. So that helped.
Now
right?
He was still great.
Career highs, but it's not like it.
But SGA is going to win.
8 to 18.
SGA is going to win MVP because his team's good, right? So wouldn't he win most improved?
But he's also scored 20-plus points in 70 straight games.
If you're racing cars and you have a Ferrari, you start with a great Ferrari, and then all of a sudden it does better. So it doesn't mean it improves.
So we're going to knock Cade Cunningham because he's always been a prodigy in his
We're not knocking him, but
he's going to win.
So
you should give the most improved player to like an Austin Reaves because he's undrafted.
I mean, yeah, I can make that argument.
Like,
that should be a different award.
Doesn't even want the award. That's what I'm saying. Like, so that award, it's typical. Sometimes it's for guys that you feel like, oh, wow,
Where have you been?
He did all right for
Yeah.
himself. We don't feel like that for
It should be like,
See,
who are you?
I don't look at the award like that. I look at this guy last year and the team last year compared to this year, which is the most improved.
We got to cancel the guest.
Do you think Cade Cunningham wants to win most improved?
No, I think he wants to win like MVP. He doesn't care
That's
about
the point. You're making our point.
But again, but he's going to.
But most improved should be almost like, who are you?
For
We
a
didn't
guy
know
that
you.
feels like I improved, like a Austin Reaves. Like
I've never disagreed more.
Goes.
I've never disagreed more. No, most improved from last year to this year. And by the way, Jaden Ivey, his teammate before he got hurt, would have won it before Cade Cunningham got hurt.
But a ton of people's numbers went up. Like, that's not how
If
it
that's
works.
the case, then let's make Jokic the most improved
Jokic's
player.
numbers are up. You want to give it to him?
Yeah, he should be in the
outta
race.
here.
Now you're
He should
drunk.
be in the race.
All right, keep it moving. Here's the toughest question I think I'm going to ask today, Lou. Who would you rather have going into these playoffs? Cade, most improved, or
wait till
Jalen
he
Brunson?
I would rather have Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
Yeah, I would rather have Jalen.
That's crazy.
Yeah, just based on the fact that he's proven he's a veteran guy. And when you've been in that water, I would prefer to deal with the guy that's had that experience before. But I would also love Cade Cunningham. I would absolutely love a bigger, stronger, more physical guard that plays the way that he plays. But if you ask me right now, which guy would I prefer with the pedigree that Jalen Brunson has had, I would definitely rather have Jalen Brunson.
Has anyone ever won most improved player twice?
I'm done with you.
Are we still doing that?
Think about that. That would be crazy.
It shouldn't be a number 1 pick. I know that.
That would be crazy. But
Or
again,
number 2.
I'm a big Cade Cunningham guy. I love him. But Jalen Brunson also, let's not forget, he's probably the favorite to win Clutch Player of the Year, which that's an award.
Okay, now we can talk about
So I'm probably going to go with
Better.
that guy now, who I've seen him do it before. And again, as much as Cade is on the rise and as much as he keeps improving by the hour.
You want to argue about another
By the
award?
hour?
He's improving by the hour.
Clutch player shouldn't be an award because if you're clutch,
But it
Here we
is.
go.
It is, Lou. It is. I don't make
If
up
you-
the
I love
awards.
it.
But if you win clutch player of the year, doesn't it mean you just had a bunch of close games?
No, it means you hit a bunch
Ooh,
of game
that's a
winners
good.
and sealers.
But they were close
Exactly,
games.
you had close games.
You should be blowing out
But
your
it's clutch.
opponent.
You could have lost it. You could have missed
Lou.
it.
Why am I in all these close games? But
Lou, you're
anyway.
winning today. You really are.
Thank you.
You're winning
I'm
each
2-0.
argument. Each and every.
Whatever.
You are 2-0. Okay, so Jalen Brunson, we know.
So we're knocking the clutch player of the year because they're
We're
in
not
close games?
No,
or
Lou
we're
just
not
said he hates
rewarding
it.
him for stepping up and making big plays? That's what clutch means.
I would rather have the clutch player award be the argument than most improved with a number 1, number 2 high draft pick. Yes, I'd rather have that.
Okay, let's have a separate award for guys that weren't supposed to be good that are good, not guys that were good now are great.
Like Jokic. Jokic is
Sure.
most improved.
He keeps
Tell your
getting
friend.
better. If he averages 40 next year, he should win most improved.
Put $1,000 on it. Jokic is most improved. All right, there was
And
another
MVP.
game, another important game happened
Does
last
anyone ever
night.
won most improved and MVP?
Ooh, no.
No chance.
But should, according to you. T-Wolves and Grizzlies, a big one.
Just got jumped.
Minnesota, by the way, did not come to play. Anthony Edwards also did not come to play. Finished with 44 and 5. Julius Randle had 31, 10 and 5, and Ja Morant finished with 36, 6 assists. This is probably the most important game for the Timberwolves so far, and Anthony Edwards, being very clutch, drops 44, as we just said. He had 52 points. It's a pride game for this group because they did blow the 24-point lead to the Bucks the other night. So all eyes on them. Plus, we already know the movement that is still potentially in the ranks there. Chandler, what'd you make of this one?
This game felt like an all-star game. This game was insane. There was so much back and forth. They were going bucket for bucket between Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. This was an exciting, fun game. Those are two of the most exciting players in the NBA to watch, so that was awesome. They both can get it going. They both got it going really quick. And this, to me, is why the Minnesota Timberwolves are scary, because when they're making shots and Julius Randle's getting to his spots and McDaniels is knocking him down and DiVincenzo's knocking him down, and Anthony Edwards is doing this type of stuff, they are a tough team to beat because when the game gets slowed down, when they bog it down, they are so good defensively. They're versatile. They still have Rudy Gobert, who still doesn't get as much credit, just kind of cleaning up everything in the paint for them. So this isn't, if I'm the 1 or 2 seed or the Lakers in the 3 seed, I don't want to see this team in the first round because they are scary.
No. A 52-point quarter, Lou, just seems not
quarter's nuts.
real.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom last night, came back, plugged my daughter into her game ready, and they were down 20. And I was like, well, what did I miss? And Anthony Edwards went on a run, and his team went on a run, and they're going to be a dangerous, dangerous out for anybody that has to see them. It's looking like if they're stuck in that 8 seed and they got to go in a play-in and have an opportunity, like, we're going to look at some of the best basketball that we've probably seen in the first round of the NBA playoffs that we've seen in modern history. And so that'll be exciting. It'll still be tough if they run into OKC, but other than that, I feel like they can be one of the teams on the upset alert.
The West is, we know it's going to be nuts. Great teams are going to be in the bottom, and it's going to look crazy. Thunder and Wolves have tied their series over the course of this season. So how many games are we looking at this one, Chandler? If it happens.
If it's Thunder, Wolves?
If it's Thunder, Wolves.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 6. If it goes 7, that'd be fantastic. But again, the Thunder, I think, are in another echelon of talent and depth. And I think we're going to see how good they are in the postseason. They're finally going to get that respect of doing it before, and we're going to stop knocking them for just being young.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, the Timberwolves is not the team I want. With Anthony Edwards, with Julius Randle getting his legs back, with Mike Conley kind of being that veteran leadership to calm everybody down, get them in their sets. This team had a shaky start, but they're starting to figure it out, and they're starting to play really good basketball right now when it matters.
The West is nuts because we say things like, it's not the team I would want, but then you look and you're like, I don't know what team
I don't really want any of them.
None of them. Like, none of this looks easy or you know, a given. We mentioned that Ja Morant had 36 points, but it doesn't change the fact that at home, in a very important game, they still got blown out. So I'm wondering if we just look at Memphis, Lou, are we even sure they get the play-in, that they win the play-in?
It's tough. They're reeling right now. That's a team that's just trying to find their footing. They're trying to find some consistency, and they can't find it. You know, they're playing hard, but they're not finishing games. Like we just talked about it. You have a team that have a 50-plus point quarter on you. That can't happen in a game that's so important that decides the fate of your postseason. And so with that, they got a lot of talent, but it just seems like something is missing in Memphis that's just not working for them.
It's crazy because as good as they are, and I feel like they are a team of the future. They're so young. I heard last night, I think Concharge, their oldest player, is 29 years old.
Is that right?
It's insane. And obviously with the move with Jenkins, will you get off me today? I hate you. What's crazy is they can easily go into the play-in. They can lose to Minnesota, and then who knows? Sacramento, you're telling me they can't beat them in a one-time game to play-in? For sure.
Don't know anymore.
That is how crazy this Western Conference race is they went from home court advantage to possibly 2 L's in the play-in and done. And with that much talent, firing the coach, that would also be kind of a disaster situation. But they are young. They're in a good spot. 2 rookies have been balling with Edey and Wells. So they're in a good spot. But, man, this just shows you how deep and how good the West is.
We're going to take a quick break. I don't know what's happening. On the other side, thank goodness, some sanity to the show. Breland will join us. We can talk everything, music, hoops,
Most improved player.
Most improved player for 30 minutes. That's what we're going to do.
Let me ask you.
I don't know that we've ever had as many titles for a guest on the show as we're about to have right now. So we're going to throw them. There he is, Breland. You got the country, you got the rapping, you got the writing, you got the record producing. You got it all. So welcome to the show. And your beginning is also a little bit crazy because gospel music was the start. Then you get the rap. Then you get the country. If you had to tell somebody, hey, I'm Breland and I am, what do you say?
I'm a musician. You know, I'm a creative, I guess would be the easiest way to put it.
I mean, that is fair, actually. Lou tells us he's a creator, too, these days, and I kind of
We're all influencers.
Yeah, we're all influencers. Your biggest influence, when you go to country music, like, who do you look to? Do you have, like, a group of people that you kind of look at?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few artists that have been pretty influential for me within country music. Vocally, I got to go with Chris Stapleton. I got to go with Gary LaVox from the Rascal Flatts. I got to shout out Nelly, even though he's a hip-hop artist to a degree, but he's really the first hip-hop artist to cross over into the country space.
Yeah,
so that's right.
all back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You actually have a really cool event coming up, April 22nd in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a Memphis guy myself. Breland and Friends, give us all the details, what it's all about.
Yeah, man, Breland and Friends, it's a charity event. We do it at the Ryman here in Nashville. I got some great artists that have come out every year. There's always a couple surprise guests. I mean, look, as a performer, I always want to try to put on the best show that I can, but it means a little bit more when it goes to a great cause like the Oasis Center. They help teens in crisis here in Middle Tennessee. Their work is unmatched, and so I always try to put on a great show. This is year 4, so if anybody's in the area, definitely pull up. We got a few tickets left. Breland Friends, it's a good time.
Awesome. Yeah, and then after that, you got a short break, and then you got a 9-city tour going overseas, the Truth Telling Tour. How excited are you to get overseas and to begin the tour?
Very excited about it. I feel like there's always a different energy overseas. You know, people out there who listen to my music, they don't get to see me as frequently, so they show up. They know all the words. You know, I feel like sometimes I play for these American crowds. They'll know the hits, but then you play out there, and they go nuts when you're playing a song that you don't think anyone has heard before. So it's a good time.
That's a good list of cities.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's a good one.
Breland, let's dive into your sports fandom a little bit here. You grow up in South Jersey, so naturally you're a Sixers fan.
There we go.
Yeah.
Tough season for the Sixers, but what's your thoughts on the current state of that squad? Is it a panic? Is it a rebuild? Is it just a matter of health next year?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little more than health. I will say that I've been impressed with some of the young guys. Tyrese Maxey is a stud. Been really impressed with what I've seen from Quentin Grimes and some of these younger, newer guys that have gotten minutes. But without knowing what's going to happen with Joel, it's kind of tough to speculate. Obviously, the end of the season, we were able to lose enough games that there's a potential lottery situation. It's Flag Day every day for me over here. I've been watching the NCAA tournament, and I'm hoping, it's maybe 4 or 5% chance that we can end up getting one of those type of picks. So we'll see. But I definitely think, people say, we're all excited about the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, and they're like, but what did it cost? And I think it cost us the Sixers.
Give something up.
Would you consider this the most disappointing Sixers in your life? Was this the most, because the expectations were up there? Like, I thought they were going to be very good.
The expectations were high. I think people were looking at us as a big three. Okay, maybe we can make some noise in the East, but it was a health thing more than anything else. When you have 3 of your best guys and they only end up playing maybe 10 games together over the course of the season, what do you expect? And I think you could look at any of the big threes on some of these other contenders. If you take 2 of those guys out for the majority of the season, they're probably not going to produce. So it was disappointing, but I think that I understand why it happened.
So put your GM hat on this summer. Are you trying to get off Embiid? Are you trying to trade Paul George? Or are you trying to run it back one more year with McCain and those guys healthy? It's your team. What do you do?
Man.
I'm going to give it I'm probably personally going to offload Paul George. I just feel like that contract is just a little too steep for the level of production that we're getting at this moment. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer in my book. I was happy to have him, on the roster for a bit, but I think we got to continue to try to go younger. I think we got to try to build in the draft. I'm giving Joel Embiid one more season, but obviously we're looking at surgery and whether or not he's going to get back to the level that he was at a year or 2 ago. But I'm going to give him one more chance just based on what he's put in thus far. But I definitely think we got to try to build around some of these younger guys.
I mean, you say that now, Breland, but I feel like 2 months into the next season, everyone's going to be impatient again. Like, we're going to give it another season, and 2 months, we're like, oh.
It is the worst. It is the worst market for trying to develop something. Like we want it now.
By the way, are you old enough to have been a fan of Lou Will? Lou, you're old.
You remember he played on
this? You remember this old dude right here?
Don't do me like that. I've been watching. Lou, I've been watching you. I watched your whole career. I'm almost 30, so I've been watching you for a minute.
I appreciate it, man.
The perennial 6-man. You are the greatest 6-man of all time.
Nice.
Everybody knows that, and pretty nasty to play with on several iterations of 2K as well.
Okay, that's really cool. I love that.
I appreciate it.
I know you have a friendship with Jimmy Butler. Well, he was there for the season. Like, how does that come to be?
Yeah, initially Jimmy was just kind of reposting videos of mine on songs of mine on his Instagram story, and then come to find out he's a big country music fan and writes music as well. Has started getting into songwriting. He hit me up and was like, hey, I would really love to put together a country project, but I want it to have kind of still a worldly cross-genre sound.
Wow.
I feel like you're the guy to help me put it together. And so we've spent a lot of time together over the last year and a half, making music, traveling around. I've gotten a chance to go to some of the games, watch his work ethic. We talk quite frequently. I talked to him yesterday. Just seeing what he's been able to do over the course of his career, and at this point, he's 35 years old and he's still hooping at a very elite level. If we're going to talk playoffs, I am a little biased here, but I like what I've seen. I like what I've seen out of the Warriors.
Pretty good.
And we can get into that if we need to.
Well, hold on before we do that, because in those collaborations, Jimmy said he was like DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
And so the DJ Khaled I know, that sounds like ad-libs and a bunch of inspiration. What was it like? What was it like getting in the lab with Jimmy in that process?
Yeah, I will say that he has a pen. Like he can write, and he's not he doesn't have a desire to be a traditional artist in the sense that it's not like a Damian Lillard situation. Like, he's not going to be spitting verses. He's not going to be singing on these songs. When he says DJ Khaled, he's more so meaning that he's going to be the person that connects the dots, you know, and brings different people in, you know, kind of as a producer more so than anything else.
Okay.
But he is writing, co-writing on these songs. He's got great concepts. And, you know, he's got an ear. Like, a lot of people, I was expecting him to be more green than he is. I was like, okay, basketball player, we'll see what happens. But it's like, he knows what he's talking about when it comes to music, and he definitely has an ear for it and a skill set.
That's dope.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is like a real artist, like, is it kind of an eye roll thing when an athlete tries to step into your world? Like, I saw Myers Leonard just writing like country music.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Or like Blake Griffin being a comedian, like to
but
comedian.
He's good.
So like, is it, yeah, like how do you view that?
Yeah, for me, I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. Like, look, this is a creative field. Like, I think a lot of athletes secretly want to be artists, and I think a lot of artists secretly want to be athletes. And, you know, we have a mutual respect. You know, I look at it this way. It's like, these are two professions that it's a needle in a haystack to be able to succeed in either of these industries. Everybody wants to do it. They're the glamour jobs, but very few people are actually able to succeed. So I think when it comes to athletes trying to do music, you already understand the discipline, you know, that goes into being able to succeed at a high level. And I feel like there are a lot of things that translate.
So are there any other NBA players that you would like to possibly work with, or any professional athletes in any sport?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are a few people that I think are talented. You know, I guess I would just have to see. You know, Jordan Mailata on the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got a voice on him for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I think Dame can rap, and we've gone back and forth on some music in the past. Mostly it tends to be rappers, you know, in the NBA in particular. So I do think what Jimmy's trying to do, you know, as kind of a producer artist is unique. I'm excited to see what happens there. And if anybody else needs records from me, I'm always down to go.
That's awesome.
I do have a question about sort of Jimmy Butler and the writing, and I don't know how much you talked to him. You said over the year and a half you guys have still, so now that he's with the Warriors, all the stuff that went down in Miami. I feel like friends of mine I know that write songs for a living, the best stuff comes out of like angst and darker periods versus happy times. So is he writing magical stuff right now? Because that whole Miami chapter was crazy.
Yeah, he's got a lot to talk about. You know, I mean, Jimmy, he tends to keep his personal life pretty private, but he's gone through some things that you could see in the Starting Five doc on Netflix. You know, he's lived some life, and he's an eccentric character. He knows a lot of different people, and he's experienced some things that, you know, would blow a lot of people's minds. So he definitely is never at a loss for concepts or at a loss for words. He'll come to me and be like, yo, this is what we need to do, and I'll be like, okay, word, you know, and it's cool to have a direction on a lot of that stuff. So I'm sure his experiences, you know, in Miami and other places that he's played before that definitely play a factor in where he comes up with some of these ideas. But, you know, I think for him, it's just kind of a really healthy outlet. You know, you can express yourself on a basketball court, but only in so many ways. I think for him to be able to kind of get that music out has been really helpful for him as well.
So can we expect a Pat Riley diss track coming out, or not yet?
I don't know about all that, but I would say a lot of these songs are really more about life experiences that are a little bit more universal for people rather than specific, you know, songs about the league.
We're gonna read into it.
That's what's up. You know what? You know how artists, we were talking about artists and when they're surprised about athletes sometimes knowing their stuff in music, we're surprised too when you guys know hoop in sports. Yeah. So shout out to you for knowing your stuff.
Come on, man.
That's what's up.
That's actually kind of fair, by the way. Any predictions for, I mean, you already mentioned you like what the Warriors are looking like and what they've been able to do since the big trade. But if you look at the playoffs in general, do you have any bold predictions you want to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a wild year in the West. I will say if we do end up getting specifically the Timberwolves at that 7 seed, I think that they could give Houston some problems. I think Houston is a young team. They're kind of unproven. We know what Ime Udoka is doing. You know, Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun. You know, they've got defense, they've got shooting. They're actually a very well-balanced, well-constructed roster, but they don't have playoff experience. I feel like that's where a team like the Timberwolves could be dangerous. I also think a team like the Grizzlies could be dangerous, but they're still trying to gel and figure things out. But yeah, I like what I've seen out of the Warriors. I like what I've seen out of the Clippers over the last few weeks. Kawhi looks healthy. He looks hungry. He's giving you 20+ a night. You know, James Harden feels like he's, you know, kind of turned back the clock a little bit over these last couple months. Obviously, the Lakers are dangerous. A lot of teams in the West could do it. In the East, I think we're really just kind of looking at the Celtics for sure. They would be my front runner. I like what I've seen out of the Cavs. I like what I've seen out of the Pistons, but it feels a year early for them.
Now you're just showing off.
Poor Eastern
I'm
Conference.
just saying, you know, but I do think you've got maybe only 2 or 3 teams in the East that can make noise, and probably a good 5 or 6 or 7 that could make noise in the West. So I'm excited to see what we get. But if I had to predict right now, I would say I'm going Warriors, Celtics, final.
Wow.
Before we let you go, who's your MVP pick right now?
I know that everyone wants it to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander because he is the best player on the best team. But if you look at what most valuable player should mean, and I heard y'all talking about the most improved player. Look, I'm not trying to open a can of worms here, but to me, when you look at the offensive defensive efficiency for the Denver Nuggets, when Jokic is on the floor and when they are off the floor, you cannot argue anything other than Jokic. He is the first player ever to finish top 3 in all of these different statistical categories in the league. He is by far the best player in the league
He's still
right
15
now.
games behind right over here.
Getting mad right now.
I'm just saying.
Steam coming out of my ears.
He's like, that's not the answer I wanted
Really?
at all.
Stagecoach in a couple weeks or no? You going?
I'm not doing Stagecoach in a couple weeks. I have done Stagecoach a couple of times. It's an amazing festival. Definitely get out to the desert if you're out that way.
He's our festival king.
Yeah.
Breland and Friends, Nashville, April 22nd, the 4th year you guys are doing that. Breland, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Have fun in Europe.
Everything, brother.
That was awesome.
Thank you guys.
Yes,
I appreciate you.
All right, cool. We're going to take a quick break. Urban Meyer?
Hey, the old
on the
head
other
ball
side?
coach.
No, that's going to be something.
Run it back, yeah. Run it up, run it back.
I mean, this is going to be something. So joining us now, 3-time champ, doing the little Fox college football thing, Urban Meyer on the show. Coach, this is the dude that brought you here to us today, and he is unbearable now. So as a college baby, do you remember anything about him?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Chandler took the Florida campus by storm. We all know his personality, but man, was he a talented guy. I befriended him. Billy Donovan was my neighbor.
Nice.
And the relationship between the Gator basketball and Gator football team was incredible. We were, you know, Coach Donovan would always come speak to my team. I'd always be over there messing around with the players, and I never missed a game when I was in town. And yeah, I love Chandler. Chandler was great. But yeah, he took the, as you can imagine.
No.
I tell everybody, Coach.
Gainesville took it by storm.
I could have been a higher draft pick after my sophomore junior league, but I just couldn't, man, I couldn't leave.
And that was before money.
That was before money.
Yeah, man, you really love studenting. Okay, this is going to be fun because he had a thread yesterday, got some nuggets of information about you or perhaps around you, and we're going to do a little true and false. So the first one is 2 of your players caught an alligator and took it to a house party, where one player let the gator bite him on the ass while the other filmed it.
Coach, is that true or false? Allegedly.
What even is this?
I'm pleading the 5th in all this because I have no idea.
What is that? Is that a real thing?
Is that real?
Listen, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I got one more for you, Coach. True or false? The first pass Tim Tebow threw in practice, it was a straight duck, and you looked at him and you said, "Did you kick the ball?" do you remember that at all?
Once again, I'm going to plead the 5th. This is so long ago.
Enough time has
saying
passed.
it's not true. I'm not saying it is true. This is some big stuff, Chandler.
Sorry.
He's like a journalist now.
That's all.
Like,
That will get serious here,
Okay.
Coach. So your time at Florida, man, you just mentioned it. What a time. Basketball teams winning championships, football teams winning championships. How did you personally just create such a competitive culture kind of out of thin air?
I'll tell you what, man. What a time. I hope it happens again somewhere. I don't think it ever will. Where both premier programs in the school will hold the trophy at the same time. And Billy Donovan, it changed my life. I got a phone call, And he said, I had spring practice that day, and I want you to be at our game against UCLA in Indianapolis. And you know, the way I was so nuts back then, I said, I can't, you know, spring practice. And one of my captains came up to me and said, Coach, you're going. So Shelly and I flew up there. And then how about this, Chandler? As the clock ticks down, and we're up, I want to say by 8, and we're going to win the game, I get a text message from his operator, you know, the chief of staff, and he says, Coach Donovan wants you in the locker room. I started shaking. I was like, the environment is so, it's bigger than life. And I go down back through the bleachers, and I'm in there, and I watch the clock tick to 0. And I love that team. That was the most unselfish team, basketball, football, hockey, what I've ever seen, because I was really close with the coaches and the players, and I saw them come in afterwards, and they just won a national title, the hugging, the crying, we did something, and that changed. I just remember saying, how do I get my team in this locker room? Because, and Billy's whole thing was, just give me 6 months. Just lock in for 6 months, and it's going to change our lives. And that was my message. And ironically, not ironically, but we did it 6 months later. You know, we won the title. So to be in that locker room, but Coach Donovan changed my life.
Yeah, and so now obviously the Gators, again, basketball team just won another national championship, coach. So is there like a pressure with Billy Napier now on the football coach, or like how does that, like, you know what I mean, how does that work when now they're going for the same thing and the basketball team just did it?
Oh yeah, it's an incredible feeling for the campus. I saw highlights of the, you know, it used to be called the Swamp, but the street right there, and then they had the O-Dome where everybody's celebrating. But you're damn right, there's pressure on. There's already pressure as a coach, but all of a sudden now, yeah, I felt it when I was there. When Billy, you know, everyone said we're a basketball school, and I'd be like, damn man, this is. There is a lot of pressure, but there's a lot of love between the sports. I know that.
Fun fact, by the way, like 5 years after I graduated, coach, I don't even know if you know this, I bought the Swamp, and my brother moved there, and he ran it for like 5 years.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You what?
I bought the Swamp. My brother moved there. He was
what does
like,
that mean?
The Swamp is like a legendary. There's like a bar right on University Ave, the white picket fence around it.
You
right
bought
across
the
from
bar?
I bought the bar. It was like the best college bar in the world.
God.
And it had it for like 5 years, and then like the landlords moved. They moved it. I don't even know if they moved it to like across campus, so it's not
Who
a
are
thing
you?
anymore. But yeah, the place is legendary. Coach knows about the Swamp.
Was it a good investment?
Yeah, did you make
Yeah,
cash?
I made some money. Like, it was just like a little, like a short period of time, but it was epic. My brother moved there, and then he moved on, but yeah, that was.
Oh, just a little information we had there. Okay,
exactly.
thank you.
Coach, so you, Billy D, obviously you both move on and you go to the pro level. And why is it so difficult for college coaches to make that transition from professional? And are you surprised, or are you not shocked at all that Billy's had the success he's had? Because you know how tough he was. I know how tough you were. I didn't think he could do that to these guys that are making $40, $50, $60 million. And yet he's still going, and he's had a great career so far in the NBA.
Yeah, Billy's a unique guy. You know, he is tough. I go to his practices, and I remember you bitching to me one time about it.
Yeah, dude, he was brutal.
You were, and Al Horford. I remember Joe Kim Noah one time. I'm in the locker room after you beat South Carolina. And this is before Chandler showed up, and I remember they're in the back-to-back run for a national title, and they won by, you know, I want to say 12 points or something. And he looks at me and he throws his towel down and he looks right at me on the eye and he says, you know, winning around here used to be fun. And started, you know, dropping F-bombs and everything else. This is Joe Kim Noah. I remember the same thing happened to me when you win. You know, the pressure becomes overwhelming for the coach, but also the players, and nothing's ever good enough. To answer your question, you know, I think a lot of coaches struggle college going to the pro. It's a very different animal. You know, you're dealing with grown men, and maybe the motivational techniques you used on 17, 18, 19-year-olds are completely different. Billy had a good run. I want to say it was Oklahoma City. Now he's kind of been in a rebuild for a minute at the Bulls. But Billy's a unique guy. He's very adaptable, and he's a brilliant guy.
Yeah. Coach, I want to ask you a question that we've been debating about for the past couple of seasons. NFL players, football players transitioning to basketball players transitioning to football players at the professional level. What's your take on that? Do you feel like it's more likely for a basketball player to go out, put some cleats on, and play a football player, or vice versa?
Oh, okay. I am amazed at the size of basketball, the size and athleticism. So as much as I love football, I think you give me a couple of those basketball players, I'll get their butts in shape, and we could be, tight ends, defensive ends. Hell yeah, you could get that.
I was about to say,
the Panthers.
Chandler's 6'9". He'll be all right tight end.
The Panthers just signed a college basketball player,
that.
6'9". You could do it. Well,
The physicality would be an
Could have
issue for me, Coach.
we know.
Playing in the cold.
But then now I stand behind Chandler. I see his knees look like this. So.
They're not great. They are not great.
Coach, I want to ask also. I came into the NBA when I was 17 years old, retired when I was 35, and 38 now, and being away from the game. But sometimes I get that itch. With you stepping away, are you itching to get back into coaching? Is that something you're looking for? You're enjoying the TV work right now?
Come back to Gainesville, baby.
When I first stepped down from Ohio State, I really struggled with it, even though I knew it was time. And then now, not at all. I mean, zero. I never knew there was a nice life out there. I never knew that. I mean, I see Chandler and Blake, our friend Blake Griffin, who's a nut job like Chandler, at tournaments. I'm playing in one now out here in Southern Highland in Vegas with a Darius Rucker. But even more than that, I have a wonderful family, a wife of 35 years, and 3 kids and their spouses and 6 grandkids. So it's almost like I never took a day off in 38 years. How about that? I never one day said I'm done, because we'd go on a week vacation or something, but I'd get up early and I'd work till noon, and they knew that was work time. And then I just always felt that if I took the foot off the accelerator, we'd go backwards. So to answer your question, what a career, by the way. What were you, 17, 18 years, you said?
Yep, 17 in, yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible, but not at all. And you're going to fight it for a while. But it's time to turn that chapter and really enjoy other things in life.
I'm telling you, I tried getting them into golf, Coach. I'm like, that has made my transition from retirement, because it's kind of that same camaraderie of the locker room, the trash talking, you know what I mean? So
Lou's going to like it when he tries.
It's helped a lot.
I know he is.
Coach, NIL now. It's insane. I always look back to, like, what would a guy like Percy Harvin, or what would a guy like Tim Tebow have made if that was the case back then? Joakim Noah, those guys.
Yeah, the NCAA made horrible mistakes. To say that, first of all, this is the United States of America, and it's a capitalistic society, and that means that should you have the right to earn money? Absolutely, you should. And I've always pushed for that. But what's happened is not that. The thing that really, I love the fact that players can capitalize on their name and likeness. I think that's what it's all about. However, having donors throwing big chunks of money and, dealing with 8 agents for 17, 18-year-olds, and they really haven't earned it yet. So it's really not NIL, it's just pay to play. And that's really not, in my mind, the purpose of college sports. I think if Chandler Parsons can go help a car dealer sell cars and they want to pay him and give him a car, absolutely that should be able to do it. If you can see that Olivia Dunn girl can make all this money off Instagram, absolutely, that's her life. But have a bunch of donors get together and say, okay, we're going to give Chandler Parsons this. I don't necessarily believe in that.
Like Duke apparently is putting a package together. Anywhere from 12 to 20 million to not go and be the #1 pick and go back to Duke.
So Cooper Flag stays.
Well, you know what's happened? There is a positive about this. At least I haven't studied basketball, but there's more college graduates than ever in college football, because how about this? The mid-draft pick, that 3, 4, 5 draft choice, he'll make more money staying in college.
Yeah.
And so as he stays in college, what's he do? He gets his degree I think you remember that. I was just such a maniac about the players getting a degree, getting experience, because you guys are enigmas. Normally people don't play 17 years or, do the things you guys have done. Normally it's a 2 or 3 year shot, and you got 45 years, 50 years to go work. Yeah. So.
I have a question about when you look in the mirror, because you won championships as a Gator and you won a championship as a Buckeye. How do you see yourself?
how do I see myself?
Yeah, it's a very deep question, philosophical, really.
Yeah, I see myself that, and people ask this of me quite often, I had a really good skill, and that skill was I surrounded myself with really incredible people. I look back now, and you look at my coaching staff at Florida, Chandler, maybe one of the best of all time.
Oh, yeah. Charlie Strong.
You look at those players that were running around on that field, maybe the best of all time, and same with Ohio State. So I had a really good gift, and that was to surround myself with really, really incredible people.
You led me to my next question, and I hate to do it, but I need to know. No pleading the fifth here. 2008 Gators against the 2014 Buckeyes.
Oh.
Who you got, Coach?
I'm not allowed to go fifth.
Nope.
No, come on. You've done that. Stop it. Who would have an advantage? Who would be favored?
Okay, that's fair.
You don't have to say who would win.
Yeah.
I'd have to say the Gators would probably be favored in a very 1.5.
I agree.
What would happen?
I agree.
Pleading the fifth, man. I'm not going.
I agree.
Don't go for it, Coach.
I love it. I love it. Coach, my last thing for you, you cover college football at Fox. The NFL draft is on the horizon. A couple kids from Colorado are going to be top picks. Is Sanders going to go number one? What position is Travis Hunter going to play? Because those two are obviously.
Is he legit? Is Shedeur
Yeah.
Sanders legit? Because no one's giving us a straight answer anymore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we covered him a bunch. I stood on the field with him. I've seen him. You know, he was, if you really study Shedeur Sanders, he was on the move the whole time. His offensive line, his last 2 years was not good. His second year, they were awful. And they got a little bit better. So there's a lot of question mark. Can he be a pure pocket passer? Because he hasn't done that a lot. And the second thing, and I'm kind of fighting for him because I do like this kid, we covered him a bunch, is that he really hasn't faced the best of them. How would he have done in the SEC? He really hasn't faced great talent. And I keep pushing back on that because I do think he has the skill. However, the Travis Hunter kid,
Stud.
I'd take him number one.
Okay.
I think he's one. I've been in the game forever. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Never seen a guy that can. And I play him both ways. I saw him, Chandler, play on his 160th play. He's playing like it's the first play of the game.
It's insane.
He's a great kid too.
Wow. Coach, this was awesome. Thank you so much, dude. Hit him straight today. Come out to LA and let's get out there on the course.
Thank you.
It's great to be with you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks you.
We'll be right back. Wrap things up.
Run it up, the running back, yeah.
We have 50 seconds. We can do most improved player or who you excited to see at Coachella.
You know what? Green Day is tomorrow.
That's
but
a
like,
good
I don't
answer.
really. I go to like to hang out. I go to play
Oh, is that
golf.
right?
Like I might
Learn about others people's
few parties.
Oh my God. Lou, are you a Coachella guy or
Never been to Coachella.
are you going to be at
going
Coachella?
last year or something?
I always think about going and it just never happens.
I always think about
It's just a little young.
Just never happens.
Keep saying this year's my last.
Because it's usually
Like
either
7 straight
playoff
years.
time or
You're like-
if I'm not on a playoff team, I'm getting out
Oh,
of
that
here.
makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
You're like the creepy Matthew McConaughey character in
Hey,
Dazed and
no,
Confused
no.
at Coachella.
I don't know why we went there, but
Just something to think about. Guys, when we come back on Monday, we will have the playoff picture ready to go. Have a great weekend. See you in a few days.
The running back, yeah. Run it up, the running back, yeah, yeah.